Good evening, and welcome to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. It is the first Monday in November. I was about to say July. We're not trying
You
to.
ready to fast forward us into 2026?
Exactly. I'm like, what's going on? But the year went so fast. That's
It
why.
did. It did.
Um, so we are here again another Monday night. We are delighted to be here for the first Monday of November. And we're going to get started as we normally do by introducing ourselves and saying what we are grateful for. And so I will start by saying that my name is Theodore Carter. I am a certified life and career coach and a HR consultant. I am passionate about helping women live with clarity and intention. And I am grateful this evening, one, that it is the first Monday in November, and we're still here to talk about it.
Yes, we are.
I am grateful for this opportunity to be on this platform and to share. And I'm grateful that it's another Monday and life is good. So that's what I'm grateful for.
Well, alrighty then. So, hi y'all. I am Regina Howard Norman, and I'm also known in these streets as Chef Regina because I cook a little food and I enjoy sharing the love and joy of being in the kitchen. I also one of my special loves is working with young people and helping them to see uh, their potential and showing them how with some sweat equity and some actual thinking and planning they can actually work towards the futures they so desire. So I enjoy helping scholars and their families to bring those visions forth. What I am grateful for today is actually this topic. I'm grateful to be in a place where we can have authentic conversations um, and share. So if you're seeing this live or you're looking at the review, you're looking at it afterwards, take some notes, pay attention, and think about where you are in the space of what we're going to speak on tonight. So that's it for me.
So like I said, Gina, this topic came from two prayer calls that I was on this morning.
Okay.
My regular call with Girlfriends Pray, and then I do another call with Saved in the City, which really is via YouTube.
Okay.
But it really resonated with me because, one of the things that I have really been trying to be intentional about is being in the moment, right?
Okay.
And pausing, right? Pausing, slowing down, taking time to just recognize that dwelling on the past or trying to figure out the future
Hmm.
just really um one can steal your joy, right?
Hmm.
Because it really does contribute to some form of worry,
Okay.
right? And I'm just gonna make this disclaimer right now. We are believers, so anything that we say is gonna probably come from that viewpoint. If
Right.
you are here and you are not, whatever your moral compass is, that is what we say let direct you. But when we talk, we're gonna usually talk from that frame of mind. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that because one of the things for me that I think has become important is trusting God, right?
Right.
And you can't do that when you are in a state of worry, right? Or you're worrying,
Absolutely.
right? And so, although we may not think that um, projecting or looking into the future or worrying about tomorrow or worrying about the next day and all of that is not worrying, it is.
Yeah.
because you're focused on, instead of you living in the moment, in the present, and just really moving through what the day has for you.
Yes.
You being over here is kind of saying, I'm trying to figure out what God has in store for me. And he's like, yo, I got that covered.
Right.
I need you to move through what's going on right here on this day. What is it that I need? And I also think it distracts you from getting through whatever you need to get through on that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Well, because we are believers, we also know that we are created in His image, right?
Yeah.
And one thing, well, there's a lot of things He says about that, but one of the things that He's shown consistently in His Word and throughout Scripture is that He does things in decency and in order.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a strategy. So when you talk about worrying, um, it's not that we are like Him, we are created in His image, which means that He gave us the ability to think, to plan, to create, to do. So if we use those natural gifts that He's given
Mm-hmm.
us to, okay, we know we have the week, right? Let's say your work week or your business week, and you have to plan some things. So if you are intentional, and that's one of your words, if you're intentional about creating a strategy around what you have to do, it decreases that sense of worry.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that there are so many things that are outside of our immediate control.
Mm-hmm.
So it always again comes back to what is it that you can do in the space of planning for your day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're thinking about, okay, I got to do such and such, maybe tomorrow I got to do this, thus, and so. Well, the thief of joy is the worrying. But if you're worrying, then the question that you want to say to yourself is, uh, why am I worried? What did I need to do differently or better so that I'm not worried so much?
Yeah.
Because to be transparent, as we get older, we realize some of the things that we used to worry about were really fruitless, right? Because we didn't have control over those situations, and we definitely don't have control over people.
Yeah.
So what we do have control over is ourselves, is how we respond
Mm-hmm.
in different situations, right? And even if the situation seems a little rocky, but it doesn't always have to be like that. It could be a great situation, and you're still worried: is it good enough? Is it this or that? Well, sometimes just having a plan. It doesn't have to be extravagant or super, um, you know, laid out, but just have a general idea of what it is that you're up to in that situation, whether you're at work or whether you're planning something with your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes what happens is when the joy is gone when you're worried more, it's because you're saying, "Oh, did I do this or did I do that or is this thing missing?" So when it comes to the bigger picture of the things that you're up to, we know it's important to have a plan. And sometimes the worry comes when we say, "Oh snap."
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, yeah.
Where have you found, like, what area of your life
Hmm.
has it been hardest to slow down in? Work, family, business, like what area have you found yourself saying, I need to pause, I need to slow down in?
Work, because I feel like I need to speed up in my business.
Mm,
um, and sometimes I overdo or overcomplicate a thing at work
mm-hmm,
because I have a certain expectation of what I'd like to see. And I have to remove the I out of it and
mm,
look at where I am. What
yeah,
environment am I in? So sometimes I'm ready to run, and my director be like, Regina, I know what you're thinking. I got you. It sounds really great, but you also have to read the room,
Mm,
right? So you may want to do something that's like 5 layers deep, when you only need to go 3 layers deep.
yeah.
So I'm learning to, even when I'm planning events and activities at my job, I be wanting to go all out, and sometimes that's not what's necessary. So
Mm,
then I'm giving myself, I'm stressing, I'm worrying, oh, I
mhm,
want this to look this way, I need this setup to be like this. And it's like, read the room.
mhm,
Understand that your job is to meet the needs of the people that you're serving. So don't get caught up in ego because you know you had the ability to do this big,
mm,
extravagant thing when it's not called for.
yeah,
So I've learned how to pull back,
yeah,
and it's I feel like, I'm cheating the folks, when he's like, no, you're not really cheating them, because that's not where their focus is,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I've learned how to. I'm learning. I'm not going to say I'm learning how to slow down,
Mhm,
and I'm learning how to really take positive feedback, and
mm,
in constructive criticism, because there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
And because I've learned how to do that, then the pressure that I put on myself to have this thing a certain way, it's like it's lifted off my shoulders, because that's not what I need to do. It's what I
mhm,
want to do. It's like I want to do, oh, I could do this, but I could do this so much better. And it's like,
mhm,
it's not about being better. It's about, is that meeting the need
yeah,
of the people you're serving? So once I'm starting to take it in, I can redirect that energy to doing something else that could also benefit them, instead of trying to pour all of this angst and worry to this big old plan. I'm going to do this. It's like they're like, yeah, that's cool, but yeah, right?
yeah. I mean, I feel like there's so many cliches, right? There's so many phrases that we use.
Hmm.
Um, and and I think I've reached a point in my life where when people say certain things, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Right. So
Okay.
like when I say, even to myself, when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna live in the moment, right?
Hmm.
Then I ask myself, like, what does that mean? Like, what does living in the moment look like, right? Because one, for everybody is
Hmm.
different.
Yes. You know, but when you say that, I think about being in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're talking to someone and they have to say, hey, did you heard that? You like, could you repeat that again? Well, then you were not present.
So it's being present. So and so let's define it tonight. So we're gonna define for us because it might be
Right.
separate for
Right. It could be
other
different for
people, but
someone else, right?
like when someone says live in the moment, right? I
Yes.
feel like for me, I'm like I want to define that because people use that. So, oh, live in the moment and all these
Right.
other cliches that we have.
But what does that mean in,
So one is to be present,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And what that looks like is
That means that you're listening to hear,
mhm,
not necessarily to respond, but you're actually with that person in the conversation. You're not looking at your phone. You're not uh over here in tomorrow or in yesterday. You're actually with that person. Or even to slow your thoughts down and be present to where you are right now, and just take that in. I think some of the rudest things we do now, we kind of like think it's okay, is to uh, be in your social media when you're talking to someone, and you're in your phone, and you're like, and it's like, bruh,
yeah.
um,
I will honestly say that one of the things that I have started to do if I'm out to lunch or dinner with like a family member or friend is
mhm,
to put my phone in my pocket,
Yes.
in my bag, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, because a lot of people. It's amazing how you go to restaurants and you look at people who are on the
And they're
right.
supposed to be together.
And I will say that also, like even sometimes with my god sisters, like we're sometimes all of us like out and one person might be because we got one who's always taking pictures, right? We
Yeah.
be like, "What's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
picture?" Right? But the other side of it, there are times when we'll be like, okay, tonight is a no phone zone,
Right.
right? Like even just setting that expectation that right now in this space there are no phones, right? Because
Right.
I feel like just being able to slow down is like you have your Sabbath, right? Like that's
Yes.
an intentional
Yeah.
way that you are like,
Get before the Lord with no
and that's it,
distraction.
right?
Not
There's
going
no
out.
distraction.
Not taking calls.
Mhm.
If it's not an emergency, if it's not a life or death situation, don't bother me,
Yeah.
because I need to. For me, my Sabbath means that I'm taking the privilege that I have to be in God's presence,
Hmm.
and not all the other stuff that I had to deal with for the last 6 days. So I need all of that. I need to listen. I need to read His Word. I need to ponder on it, and I need to be present to what I could be getting as a download versus being distracted by the news, or the neighbor knocking on the door, or something that distracts me from that. If it's not a conversation around His Word, or in that area, I could talk to you afterwards.
Yeah.
You know.
And it is that intention. Like today I was like, you know what? Um Now with daylight savings time, it gets darker sooner,
Mhm.
whatever. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a walk. And so I was like, okay, when I log off, I'm not gonna get distracted and start being over here on my computer. I literally got up, went, put on my sneakers, went out, took a quick little 30-minute, 35
Nice.
minute walk, right? Came back into the house, right? Also getting more intentional about, like you said, right? We work full-time jobs, we also
Yes.
run businesses, right? Me also being intentional about and not trying to project like, oh my god, for my business I want to do this and I want this to happen and that to happen, right? Like I'm like, okay, what do I need to work on? Like right
Right.
now I'm working on building a membership community, right?
Right.
A free community, membership community, right? Because I feel like I want to have my own social media, right? So
Right.
but I was like, okay, I was like, oh my god, what content am I having there? What I'm gonna share with the people, right? Whatever. And then I said, you know what? All you need to focus on right now is building it out.
Right.
Get your picture,
Right.
get your about statement out, set it up, and then you could move on to content. Because already I was like, okay, what content, what's gonna be, everybody gets in it, and what's gonna be, paid, whatever, right?
And you got to start from where you got to start.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it's something that's so important. Like, because me, I talk about intention all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel like that aligns with living in the moment.
Yes.
Because you have to intentionally get to this point where you are living in a moment. And part of that is defining what that looks like.
You know, I would love to say I've read an article, but it wasn't an article. It was actually something on YouTube where this Harvard professor was talking about the beauty of being bored,
Mm,
and he talked about how it was a Harvard study done in regards to people being stimulated with social media, that they needed something to keep them occupied every 5 to 6 minutes and whatnot. And the gist of what he was saying is that what he started noticing is that people didn't know how to be comfortable with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and if they didn't have the phone or the TV or something else, they felt like they were distracted, and it's like not being comfortable with just being present to yourself.
Yeah.
So he was saying some of the guidelines that he sets at home with his families, that at the dinner table there's no social media. um, when they're out together, they put the phones and stuff like that down. They make that's a mandatory thing, so that they can be present with each other and just kind of be in their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And that same, uh, when I looked at that evening, I was like, okay, Regina, you got a bunch of stuff running through your head, but you use the distractions, so
Yeah.
you got stuff to do, but then you over here popping onto this, popping onto that. I said, you know what? I'm gonna be bored with myself, and I put the phone down. I put
Mm-hmm.
all those platforms that I peek at, and I started thinking, Regina, what do you need to do? And it was something that I needed to do, and I sat with that, and I started working on that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I started working on that, I was able to actually produce some content that I needed for work.
Mm.
So I said, well, you know what? I, we know that prior to the technology and the internet and everything else, we had limited social media. Our social media was the
We
telephone,
had I was gonna say we
the
hardly had
television, and the radio, and the different channels and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but what that helped us do, though, it kind of set a timeline, right? You knew at a certain time the
anything.
TV was going off. You had those big color rainbow came across the screen. You knew at a certain time you wasn't taking calls, right? And people could leave you a voicemail or a message on the phone, and that
Mhm.
was okay.
But no,
Now
but think about it. Go back to the times where I don't even think we had answering machines.
that part. So you
Remember?
you either spoke. You're right. So you either that person had to call you back. If they didn't get you, they would have to call you back, or you know that's it. But what that did, though, was when you talk to that person, you were really talking to that person.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't being distracted by three and four other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we have the benefit of all this access, all this information. So it's always on. You can
Mm-hmm.
always find something, and you may be present for that little thing, but your mind's still running, 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 running. You haven't slowed down to catch up with yourself, or to catch up with some things that you need to do. Um, so there's the benefit. Technology, absolutely a benefit, absolutely. But we have to give ourselves healthy boundaries around how to sit with ourselves. Like you said, if I'm always looking at someone else's created memories, if I'm looking at a skit or something like that, and it's invoking different feelings in me, that's not even real. It's like it's a movie. Why don't I take that same energy and focus on the real stuff that's important to me, right?
Yeah.
And so the joy of living in the moment or being where you are, sometimes that means movies is entertainment, and that's fine. And reading and being informed is super important. But sometimes it's important just to steal away from all of that and just be present to
Mhm.
yourself.
But I think it's also important to have, like for me,
Hmm.
it is really being intent and not even intent honoring my morning routine. Like for me, right? It's getting up. First of all, it's getting to bed at a decent hour
Right.
so that I can get up in the morning and not have to pop up
Hmm.
and rush into the day,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because there is something to, like, when I have time to when I honor my morning routine, which is to get up, maybe exercise, right? Whenever I get up, first thing I say is thank you, Jesus, right? But sometimes I get up, I work out, and then take a shower and then sit,
Okay.
read my devotionals, sometimes just sit in silence, right? Quiet, no TV on,
Right.
no radio on, no nothing on, just sitting, right? Trying to keep focused on being present in the moment and not thinking about what my day has for me,
Right.
right? What's on my calendar, what's whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's so different from those days when I don't get to bed at a decent hour, right? So I'm not intentional, haven't been intentional about that, right? Which means I get up later than I need to, which means I'm hopping up, I'm hopping in the shower, and boom, right on the computer,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then my day is like, oh my God, like all over the
Mm-hmm.
place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important also to, have like those morning routines or have that quiet time or just being intentional about what am I gonna do today to really just focus on even at work, right? There are so many times when like we're in meetings that now one of the rules they have for one of our big meetings is cameras on, everybody's cameras on,
Right.
and they don't want you multitasking. Because
Right.
I'm the queen of I'm in a meeting and I'm answering an email and I'm doing because I'm trying not. And so I've even tried to at work to be like, okay, you're gonna be in this meeting, you're gonna focus, you're gonna pay
Right.
attention, you're gonna listen,
Right.
right? You're not gonna these emails will still be here. But I
Mm-hmm.
also have had to do that in my personal space too,
Right.
right? Like I don't have to respond to every email that comes into my email box right
Mm-hmm.
away. Also, just being, like I said, with like the stuff that I want to do for my business, being mindful of, you know what?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight, but also focus on this piece first before you're out here thinking about what's the content you need to have, what you need to offer, what you need to deliver, who might be interested in it, what meeting you need to have, right?
Right.
So and so like even on Sundays, I know that on Sunday after church, I'm usually gonna come home, I'm usually gonna relax, sometimes take a nap, but I also know I'm gonna send out the topic for the show. I try to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Like I'm gonna work on my content for the week, my social media, right? So there's something to and I focus on that instead
Right.
of okay, I'm gonna turn on the TV and while I'm doing this, I'm watching TV and I no
Yeah.
focus, right? Because we get distracted
Oh
easily,
yes.
so easily,
Very.
right?
And you, and I think when you talk about finding your joy, it's actually sometimes finding the joy is being present to an activity,
Yeah.
right? So if you're doing something together, like going out or you're playing or you exercise or what have you, um, if you're not focused on that thing,
Hmm.
you may miss some of the benefit of what it is you're doing. Like you may miss a cue if you're talking with someone and and you're thinking about something that happened before you met with them.
Hmm.
So now that thing is still kind of lingering in the back of your mind, and you're missing the cues in that conversation you're having with this person that you really care about, that you enjoy the conversation, or you're at least enjoying being in their presence. Y'all vibe good together.
Yeah.
But because you're distracted now by something else, you're not present to the conversation, so you don't pick up on something that's really important
Yeah.
because you're not present, you're not locked in to that conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I also do want to say it is a delicate balance, right?
Yep.
Um, I learned this a while back when I was at Dress for Success, and we had a really great symposium, and we had these heavy hitters come in, and they would talk about different ways to expand and grow. And they said it's a balance between being present in the moment and also thinking ahead, right? Because you could be at a conference. Let's say you're at a business conference and it's really great. You're in a breakout session and you're having a great
Yeah.
dialogue. So you want to be present to that conversation, but you also, at the same time, you're thinking about, okay, this could be a really great connection. How do I extend the conversation, and look at connecting in the future? So while you're present to being at this conference, and we used to have a lot of women's conference,
Yeah.
powerful. And I was so fortunate to meet so many people, but I learned so many life lessons. And one of them was the art is the delicate art of being present, but also being strategic
Yeah.
in how do I align with people that you feel like will really work with you, not just transactional, but that y'all can work together in a collaborative sense,
Yeah.
right?
That's true. There's a delicate balance to
Yes.
being present in a
Mhm.
networking situation,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Because when you're in that situation, right? I think it's also important
Hmm.
to be in the moment, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we're in those networking situations and we're looking around the room
Right.
at everybody that we might want to connect with and not focusing on the one person that might be in
That's
front of us
right.
that might be the key connection.
That there you
Right?
go. So and that's where that balance comes in,
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, that one of the things you're told, and this is, and it may sound like it's not joyful, not finding the joy, but it's finding your niche, finding your area,
Yeah.
whether you're at a conference or you're at work. Then that takes on a different meaning, right?
But it
Um,
also impacts your peace and your perspective, right? Because I think when we are so into when we go into different areas, right? Because every area is going to be different, but networking and work and stuff like the example
right.
you gave, when you go into a networking type of situation,
Mm-hmm.
there's already high anxiety, right? And for some people, they don't even think they should be in the room, right?
Right.
And is knowing that you're supposed to be in that room. Because if you
Absolutely.
weren't supposed to be in the room, you wouldn't be at that conference. But
Right.
now that you're in the room, how are you going to spend that time?
And that's where planning comes in.
Yeah, right.
So when you talk about worrying or feeling like, oh, I don't belong here. And I used to feel like that the first few years, because I'm like, these men and women are senior professionals, they're principals, executives, and CEOs, and all these alphabets behind their name. And I'm sitting in here in the middle of all of this,
Mhm.
getting all these jewels dropped. And I'm like, wow, like I'm really like in awe, right? So that caught me off, because to your point, I feel like, wow, I'm just kind of new in this space, and how do I, instead of knowing that I was going to go to this conference, right? I needed to do the background of who was going to be there. I needed to know who was going to be in the room before I got
Yeah,
there, because that would have taken some of my nervousness away.
yeah,
And then to do it even better, to say, out of all these people, who do I align with?
hmm,
Who are doing things that I want to do,
yeah,
that I admire, so I can have a sincere word to say,
hmm,
versus, oh, thank you, that was so, but have a sincere word outside of the regular
yeah,
blah blah blah, right? So, but I learned this later on, that I needed to do the research.
yeah,
So when I come into the room, I know who's there.
yeah,
And so now I'm not as worried, right?
hmm,
Because I'm present to, oh, and in breakout session B, she's going to speak, and then he's going to speak. But I really want to get to her.
yeah,
So then your focus now, so that's where the focus comes in. Because once you've
yeah,
done the background, right? You've done your research and you see who you really want to connect with. When you get in that space, now you got a plan. Now you're present.
And I was gonna say, now you're in the moment
Now you're in the moment.
because you have done, like, you didn't show up to this conference or this space, right, where you didn't even think about what might be going on. So now you're in the space,
Yes.
and you're trying to navigate all of that, as opposed to you already entered it, knowing what you're coming into, which is so important. I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is something to being present, especially, you know, in those type of rooms and in those environments. I remember like going into in one of the organizations I worked for, the rule was when you walked into the room, your phone stayed. There was a space where your phones stayed, right? Because we were in healthcare, of course.
Okay.
Person that was on call or nurse, whatever, yeah, they might have their phone. But for anyone else, like if you're administrative role, your phone go right in this basket right here, right for the duration of the minute of the meeting, so you could be present,
yes,
right? So that you can take in the information. So how has learning to be present like showed up for you? Like how has it been a positive? Positive.
Because I'm able to read a room better.
Mm.
So and I think earlier I started out talking about being able to take constructive criticism from my director, and being present to the intent of the conversation. And because now I've understood the importance of being present, I pick up on his cues, right? And even with my coworkers, today we're planning the calendar for November, and I had already set a date for one of our major events. So my coworker, my colleague, she was like, "Well, I'm also doing a workshop that day," and I'm like, "Well, you know, we're doing this on this day, right?" So I said, "Regina, pause a second. This is one of your colleagues. That's one of your. She steps up when you need her to step up, and she asked you a valid question, and you just kind of answered it like, no big deal." So I had to, and I was present to that after the conversation. I was like, "Hold on, Regina, think about what you're saying." And then I went back over what the opportunity or the possibility of the outcome would be doing it that way. I said, "You know what? I'm going to move it back." So I changed the date of the event because it's planned. So the people that is for, they're not aware yet because we're putting the calendar out, right? So everyone's given.
It doesn't impact anyone.
It doesn't impact them yet, but it does impact us, the team, that are putting our different programs of what we're doing on the calendar. So I had to do a balance thing. I said, "No, wait a minute now. She's one of my colleagues that always, if she can step up, she always steps up. She comes in and she gives me her time and such." And she asked a valid question. So I redid the calendar and I said to her, I said, "You know what? That thing we were talking about, I moved it to Friday so you could do your thing on Monday." She was like, "Okay." Because the thing about being present is I paid attention to the cue. I heard what she said.
You paid attention to the cue?
Yes.
And then you paused. And I think, and why I wanted to say that is because I think so many people don't understand the value in the pause.
Yes. Yes. Right? Huge.
So many people don't understand the value in the pause, especially when your mind is going 100 miles an hour, and you feel like if you pause right now, you're gonna miss something.
Right.
But the value in you pausing gave you an opportunity to say, "Wait a minute.
Yep.
It's the colleague that I value. She steps up in a certain way. All right, how can I make this different?" Right? How can I make this work?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If you hadn't did that pause and just kept on thinking about okay, so now the calendar's done, and now I got to go on and do this and this and this and
Right,
this
right,
and
right,
that
right,
and that
right.
and that and that and that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lost a valuable moment,
Yeah,
right?
I would have, and I would have. So the worst thing to do, I think, when you're in the work environment in life, period, is someone to say something to you, and you don't take time to take in what their intentions
Yeah,
really
like you're
were.
dismissive.
Perfect, and and that's the last thing I wanted. And I'm like, wait a minute, because we had a couple of words about it. It wasn't like negative, but she said
Yeah.
we said what we said, and then I was like, hmm,
And sometimes it's not even what you say, it's the body language,
it's the right,
right?
right. So I was like, let me, you know, let me really think about this. So I had to weigh it. I had to weigh out the pros and the cons because one, you can't please everybody. The calendar is going to be the calendar, but I had to do it in a way that I have to respect my team, and I have to especially um, acknowledge the ones that really steps up for me every time we have like big events and whatnot. And the fact that she's always, like without a doubt, hands down,
Mhm.
she'll give me if her 2 hours is like four because she's that
Yeah.
type of person. And I was like, wow. First of all, moving the date back made more sense logistically for us the implementation and getting things done. And but I think the fact that I did move the date back showed her that I heard her.
Yeah.
And she was heard and respected.
Yeah.
So
And value. She probably
and
felt value.
yeah, and I mean we're colleagues, so we're working together on the same team in the same department. It's not a lot of us, so we all
Mhm.
have to be able to work together.
Yep.
And just because I'm the one putting the calendar together doesn't mean that uh, I have the final say because we all work together and we all do programs to be on
Mhm.
a calendar. But to your point, it was because I paused and I revisited the conversation, and I was
Mhm.
like, hmm.
Yeah.
And so after I rolled it back, I was like, nah, I'm changing this
Yeah.
because for
I
so
mean,
many different reasons.
yeah, and it really like shifts the perspectives, right, of
Yeah,
everything. But if you're tuning in, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and we're talking about living in the moment. But one of the things we wanted to make sure we did in having this conversation is define what that looks like for us, all right?
right.
And so for us, so far, we've said living in the moment means being present, right?
Yes,
Being able to pause, being able to slow down, being able to be intentional
yes.
about, just what we're doing and how we're doing it. So, just to give you an idea, if you're just tuning in or you're going to watch this on a replay,
Hmm.
that's what we're talking about right now. We are talking about living in the moment, but from the viewpoint of what that looks like for us. It might be totally something
Different for y'all.
different for
Yes.
you, but I will say for me, it has really been beneficial to realize that the pause, the
Yes.
slowdown
Yes.
is necessary.
Very.
Um, and so usually for me, it's Sunday when I am
Hmm.
trying to not have anything to do, but probably go to church. Right. And then after that, just relaxing, like not being on any. For me, living in a moment is not being on a schedule,
Yeah.
right? Because so much of my time is spent dictated, being dictated by a calendar,
Okay.
right? Meetings and
Yeah.
appointments and
Yes.
whatever. So for me, any opportunity that I get where I am not following a schedule,
Hmm.
where I don't have to um put an alarm clock on,
Right.
right? Is for me living in the moment, right?
Right.
It's slowing down. It's honoring my morning routine. So like I said to you, really honoring getting to bed on time so I could get up and have that time to have time to sit down and just be quiet, whether it's
Yeah.
drinking some tea and getting like some quiet time in before starting my day. But I would say the other thing for me is, well, I'm just gonna, don't judge me. I watch Christmas movies all year round. I'm just gonna say that. Right? I'm just gonna say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now this is the season
Yeah.
where there are new Christmas movies. Right? So the month of November for me
Yes, yes, yes.
is watching. So usually in the month of November, I'm watching the Christmas movies I've already watched before, right? So like this past weekend,
Yeah,
I rewatched like the Kelly Rowland
yeah.
Christmas movie,
I like, yeah, yeah.
right? So
I
I
like them
watched,
too. I'm not gonna lie, I like them
yeah.
too.
So I watched all three of hers, right? So this month will be spent watching the repeaters, right? That I probably have seen tons of time because I watch them all year round. But come December or the end of November after Thanksgiving, when they start rolling out the new
New ones, yeah,
Christmas
yeah,
movie,
yeah.
right? I'm gonna watch those, right? For me, that is the pause, that is the slow down, that is the moment to be like, okay, you don't have to be going at 100 miles an hour. But I would tell you the other thing that was really critical for me this weekend was
Mm-hmm.
saying no.
Yes.
So,
The joy of no.
yeah, like the joy of no in that living in a moment, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
being able to say, I will honestly say, this week one of the girls at church was like, "Hey, can you would you want to be the lead for XYZ?" I said, "No, no, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Right.
I do not want to be the lead for that
Right.
because I'm already the lead for this, and I have all this other stuff outside of out of church that I'm doing, right?"
Right. Right.
And it was for me, like really eye opening because I'm the one that's normally gonna be like, sure, right,
Yes.
I can do it, right.
Right.
But
Right.
it really was like, okay, this is I didn't have to think about like what worry about, because I think that's the other thing. And Dr. Marshall, DC Marshall, said it this morning when she was talking about that pre-worry,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. The pre work.
The pre-worry,
Yeah.
right?
The pre worry. Okay.
And how do we
Pre-worry.
make sure that we are not going into that mode of pre-worry,
Okay.
right? And some of that is really just focusing on what's happening right now. What do I need to get done right now? Because me thinking about this over here
Mm-hmm.
is gonna start creating it's gonna start creating the pre-worry,
Right. Right. That's true. That's true.
right?
And sometimes we start very early with the pre worry.
Yeah, yeah. Like the people that right now starting to think about what they doing for Thanksgiving, where they
Yes.
going, who house they going to, why they don't want to go to that person's house,
Yeah. Yeah.
what all of that.
Yeah. You know, uh, when you say that, it takes me back to what I'm really working on. I think for the next 5 years, I'm going to be working on how to perfect different strategies, following how God shows us He does it in His Word.
Mm.
Because when you have a strategy for whatever it is, big, small, or everything in the middle, then you get to see how you laying out stuff on the board,
Yep.
right? Now, a basic strategy could be something as simple as what things you need to get done for the day, whether you're home, running your business, or in the office. And so you can create more joy for yourself by planning a little bit ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you go in with the plan you're going to do such and such with a little having flexibility because stuff again when you're working for someone else, so you're in an environment where you're dealing with other people,
Yep.
things are subject to change. So you have to give yourself some cushion and breathing room so that you're not frustrated if something happens. You're like, oh man, I came here with my routine and I'm doing it. And it's like, well, actually you can't because something else superseded that, right? And so
The power of being able to pivot.
yes, the pivot power. So, the beautiful thing I see when I study, especially in Sabbath, and I look at how from Genesis chapter 3, that God was strategic and it took us through centuries of before Jesus Christ showed up. But he said it in Genesis chapter 3 that I'm gonna redeem what
Mhm.
Adam did. So, but it didn't happen right away.
Nope.
But but he had the long game. He had the long, like his strategy is like we think about 3 dimensional. He's like on some multiverse stuff. Like the
Yeah.
way his plan had worked out, and it was like, oh wow, you'd have never thought that he came from the line he came from. But while we're not him, but he give us the ability to say, hey, look, I gave you the ability to have strategy, and
Yeah.
you can use certain strategies in everyday life that can decrease your stress and
Yep.
decrease your worry,
Yep.
right? Because you could plan the thing that something doesn't happen, like you said, the pivot power,
Mhm.
that give yourself room to breathe and flexibility, and then own if a thing happened or doesn't happen. You worrying about it will not change the fact that it did or did not happen.
Yeah. And it's so true because I always, when working with clients, I always say, okay, let's talk about your goal, let's talk about your vision, let's talk about what you want to do, right? But as we are developing this goal, let's talk about the potential obstacles and challenges that you might face,
Right.
right? Because when we, and that's not saying get not, and I want to make sure it's clear, right? Don't get focused there. Don't get stuck there because we don't. I don't want you worrying about it,
Right.
right? I still want you in this process of planning, but I want you to be mindful of if this challenge arises or this obstacle comes up,
Hmm.
you're prepared for it,
Right.
right? Because so many times we plan and we prepare and we're ready, like you said, doing the work that I do in
Hmm.
HR, I could walk in and what I had planned for my day could be totally changed around, right?
Right.
And so there has to be the ability to be flexible. There
Yeah.
has to be the ability to pivot. But that's where the power of being in the moment
Hmm.
is important, which is
Yes.
what you started out with, is being present.
Yes. Being
Because
present.
when you have to shift, when you
Yes.
have to pivot,
Hmm.
you need to be able to be present in the moment that you are in.
Yes.
Because if you start worrying about, now that I have to do this, all of this is going to happen, you just disturbed your peace.
Hmm.
But if you say, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this, but now I got to focus on this.
Right.
Let me focus on this. Let me get this done. Because maybe if you are in the present, because the amount of time that you're going to spend venting, complaining, being upset
Oh,
that things changed,
I can't tell you.
right?
Yes.
How much
That's such
longer
a good
have
point.
you to get it done, right? If you say, okay, this is
Hmm.
where I'm at,
Right.
this is what in front of me, let me get this done. Now you can go back to what you were supposed to be doing anyway.
That sounds like surrendering to the moment.
Exactly. That is the power
Yes.
of being present,
Yes.
surrendering to the moment, and pausing and slowing. Is also that power of pausing and slowing down,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to think about that. But we are at the top of the hour, so
Oh, okay.
wow. You've been listening. If you've been here to the Women to Women show on the New U Nation Network, and if you're catching us on a replay, it was a lively conversation about what it means to live in the moment and how do you find and find where your joy is. And one of the things we did in approaching this topic is talk about what that meant to us, what living in a moment, because living in a moment is something we all say, but define it. So what I'm going to say to anyone that's coming in listening now is when you think about what living in a moment means to you, you need to define what that means so that you're really able to live in the moment. Like what's happening when you are choosing to live in the moment. And so Gina, as we get ready to close, I'm going to ask you well, choose one of these two, right?
Okay.
For the rest of this week, I'm choosing to slow down by doing X, or the moment I want to be more present for is.
The moment that I want to be more present for is working my business. Specifically, what I'm planning for the November, December months. So my focus is on planning what project am I going to implement between November and December, and where is my starting point for that thing. That's what I'm doing.
So look at Peacefully Jay said, I recently posed a question, the difference between living in a moment and instant gratification.
Oh, that's a great question.
Right?
Living in a moment could be something simple as enjoying a conversation with someone you love without distraction and just really having fun with them. You could be listening to music or just, just being present. Instant gratification is saying, okay, well, I want this thing. It costs such and so. But if I get it right now, I'm taking away from something that's important. But the delayed gratification is to say, I want that thing, but I don't need to have it right now. I can delay the gratification on that because what's more important is all the bigger picture. So the instant gratification is like I want it now. I want it now. I gotta have it right now. And if I don't have it right now, it's gonna be a problem. Versus when you're living in the moment of enjoying, even if it's enjoying yourself or enjoying the people that you're around, or being present to what's happening around you. That means your senses are tuned in. You're listening you're hearing with an open mind what's going on. You're looking at things around you without distraction. You're not picking up your phone. You're not listening over here. You're actually present to your immediate environment. And that, for me, would be a definition of living in the moment. Now, there's several, but those would be my examples for that.
And I was thinking more along the line of what she actually said. I want it now without appreciating the value of it, because I think when you're living in a moment, you're taking time to slow down. You're taking time to pause, and like I said earlier, you're not pre-worrying. You're not thinking about what that thing, right? You're not thinking about the outcome. You're just thinking about right now I'm present and I need to work. I need to be in this space, and whether that's enjoying a conversation with someone, whether that's working on something, right? Versus, when you're thinking about instant gratification, you're going into it thinking about how do I get this thing, right? So it doesn't give you the opportunity to pause, to slow down, to appreciate where you're at.
Yes.
Right. That like literally when I take time out to watch those Christmas movies, right, on Sunday, like I'm there, I'm just here. I'm not thinking about nothing else. I'm watching
Right.
this movie that I probably have seen a billion times, right? But it recenters me. It slows me down.
Yeah.
It turns my mind off for a minute, right?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about that thing that I want or need. And so I think it is something about not being in that space of I want it now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even appreciate the value of it because I can't appreciate the moment that's
Right.
gonna lead up to me getting it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good question.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. That was a
Peacefully,
good
Jay.
question. Yeah. And so as we go into the week, I like if you're tuning in now or you tune in later, I might pose the two questions that I asked to Gina, and I want you to choose one of them for the rest of the week. So it's either going to be this week, I'm choosing to slow down by,
Mm.
or the moment I want to be more present for is.
Yes.
Right. And so you're welcome, Peacefully Joy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so I truly want, like, and if you're listening now or if
Mm-hmm.
you listen to the replay, really think about one of those two things for the rest of the week. Either you're choosing to slow down by however you choose to do that,
Right.
or the moment that you want to be more present for is.
Yes.
Right. And so, I think there's power in I love intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's power in intentionally thinking about how you're going to slow down,
Right.
right? Or how you're going to be more present,
Right.
whichever one you decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I will honestly tell you, being someone that intentionally practices that, it does impact your
Mm-hmm.
peace. Because I can tell you, when I'm not intentional about slowing down or being present, my day is totally different from,
Yeah.
those days when I take time to slow down, to be present, and to not pre-worry
Yeah.
about the outcome of a situation.
Yes.
Right. And so, any last words from you, Gina, before we close out?
I think you got it. I'm not gonna say anything else. I think we're good.
All right. So we thank you for joining us, Peacefully Jay. Definitely appreciate you. Appreciate the question. We hope you come back again next Monday, 8
Mm-hmm.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we will be here again. Maybe more of us, may just be the two of us, but there'll be somebody here on the Women to Women show on the New U Nation Network. And in between Monday and the rest of the week, hop on Wednesday night. There's another show that our founder has that is definitely gonna pique your interest.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many other richful, positive content on this network. So if you haven't already done so, please like, share, and subscribe to the New U Nation Network. And we will see you again next Monday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great evening.
Good night. Bye for now, y'all.